2, 1.
When you have a real bad day on a Friday, there's always a chance of that big follow through on Monday. It looked like that for a little bit, but the Bulls made a stand and we had a decent day. We're looking up here a little bit today, but everyone cares about the 2-day Fed meeting tomorrow. We'll discuss that. Got some ratings to discuss as well. Tim Seymour is going to join us later in the show, and we're going to talk to him about some cannabis stocks. There's been some rallies going on, and then we really haven't covered. It's Tuesday. It's pre-market prep.
Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I'd buy that stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
All right, good morning, traders and investors. Thanks for joining us here on this Tuesday morning. We're in the green by just a tad, 4 1/4 handles, 45.0575. Tight 10-point range overnight. That buck, we've been talking about 105. It's pulling back. It's down 25 cents at 104.50. Bonds down 1/4 point, hanging out near the low of the move, 118 and 19/32. Crude, like Berkshire Hathaway, goes up every day, up 83 cents at 91.41. Gold, silver, both up modestly. Silver really leading the way. That's up 0.6%. That's 14 pennies at 23.64. And Bitcoin backed off yesterday's high, but revisiting it today, and that's up $420 at 27,305. Let's bring in Triple D. Triple D, did you fall asleep at your desk last night?
Yes, 100%. So slow. So slow. I was saying to another trader, I was like, this is one of the slowest nights that I have seen in a long time. I don't know why. There was just nothing going on. It was like no real news. And we do have a couple of headlines here today, which we're going to get to, but we're reaching a bit. I mean, it was a very slow news night.
I mean, it's the Fed, right? Everyone's waiting on the Fed
Maybe.
tomorrow, and no earnings, no big shakeups. I mean,
there's not a lot
really
of catalysts right now.
No.
Not a lot on the radar. The Fed, we kind of know what the Fed's even going to say, so I don't think it's going to be a big volatility spiker there either. So, I mean, VIX is sitting down here at 14, slightly elevated maybe from where we were just a couple days ago, but we're still, overall just in this like slow period here right now. Consolidation, battle between the bulls and the bears. We've talked about all this stuff, but yeah, slow is the name of the game.
Yeah, there's the VIX hanging out here. I mean, it just will not pop. But all right, well, if there's news there, then we got to bring in Mitch, and Mitch is just gonna be one of these days, Dennis, where we just go according to the plan. We're gonna do. Mitch is gonna start out, and the show's gonna be over. It's going to be over at 8:23. It's going to be over at 8:23.
Okay, yeah, and we're moving to 4-day week, right? But let's get to the action. AutoZone here kicking it off. Q4 EPS $46.46 versus $40.51 prior year. Sales of $5.69 billion, beat the $5.61 billion estimate. AutoZone's fourth quarter domestic same store sales increasing here 1.7%. Fourth quarter EPS increasing to $46.46. Annual sales at $17.5 billion. AutoZone.
Get in the zone. AutoZone. It's just all odd lots. So you won't see any movement on your level 1 because it needs to have a real print, but it's actually offered down $45. It's offered down right now. It's offered $24.78 on ARCA. Yeah, one share. And then there's one share offered at 2,500 and 100 shares offered up at 2,503. Best bid is at 24.57 on ARCA. You'll see 24.20 on your level 1 because they're looking for they're looking for the regular lot there. They're not looking for the odd lots. So 24.57, 25 shares, 24.50, 52 shares. It is as thin as you get.
I'll just go with another one of my brilliant statements. I'll watch unchanged. Resistance at 25.22. If they don't like the report, it's already offered $45. Maybe some. I do see 3 out of 4 lows at 24.50, but you undercut it one day. But I mean, I would just say overall, I mean, best in breed here, right? I mean, compared to these other auto suppliers. Been the one that's been holding up the best. Well, look at AAP continues to go lower. O'Reilly Auto Parts. I don't think that chart looks as oh no, that one looks good too. Man, they got to. I said this before. They got to steal someone from one of these two companies.
Yeah, AAP is just like, I think the
Yeah.
writing's on the wall here. Like, this company could have problems. I mean, I don't know why, but it's the Rite Aid of the auto parts industry. There's the three, Rite Aid, Walgreens, and CVS, and then there's the three: Advance Auto Parts, O'Reilly, and AutoZone.
Ooh.
And I mean, AAP is just out. So this just doesn't look like it's coming back anytime soon. It continues to go lower and continues to be a value trap. And I don't even know if AAP made money last quarter. I mean, they were struggling there too. Let's go look at the AAP earnings from last quarter. Just curiosity killed the cat here.
They
Buckmore?
did.
No,
Yeah.
Buckmore, big misses.
Oh
Big
my lord! Look at those misses.
money, but these earnings are coming down. Looking at estimates, and they're seeing there's
Oh.
$6. Still seeing some money in there, but man, it's been a value trap too. Like the Foot Locker. Certain retailers just hated. That's one of them. I don't buy hated retailers. You lose a lot of money buying hated retailers. Next.
Kicking to United States Steel Corporation provides third quarter guidance update here. Adjusted net earnings per diluted share guidance of $1.10 to $1.15 versus $1.01 estimate. Of course, everyone was keeping their eyes on United Steel for potential acquisitions and being mentioned with rumors. What do you guys think about it now on US Steel?
I still think it's in play. I think the technicals go away when a stock's in play. There's a reason the stock is not selling off, and it's because everybody thinks a deal is imminent. Has not given back anything. That's impressive. After a month of basically silence after the rumors started, doesn't give any of it back. So that's telling me that there's something cooking here. I think we're just got to wait for an official announcement here. But the risk arbs think that there is a deal imminent. They're pricing it like there's a deal imminent. I'm not going to fight that.
Yeah, I mentioned the opposite side of the coin. Yeah, I believe it was last week, and you quickly pointed that out. That was an excellent call. They're paying attention to the good guidance here. They ignored the bad news, right? I can't remember what the bad news was earlier.
Nucor lowered guidance, and X didn't sell off any on that. And then you can see them coming and defending themselves and saying, "Hey, Nucor might be doing bad, but we're doing good." And they come out with their guidance out of the blue here to say, "Hey, no, we're doing okay here at US Steel."
Yep, exactly. Now, I don't know what the impact of the auto strikes is going to be on this, and well, really, no one knows what the impact of that's going to be on everything. What in day 3 now, or day 3 or 4? So I did see that they were closing a blast furnace somewhere, but that's not bothering to start today. Up 52 cents. Just the highest it's traded, and this is always interesting. On the day of the announcement is when it reached its highest level. So the risk arbs are thinking, man, might not be much over $32. I believe it traded 32 and a quarter, but revisited that area. It seems like anything over 32, the risk arbs are taking a little bit off.
So are you ready, guys? Because we're going to see if we can really get Intel maybe moving this week. It's already been lifting, already getting off the ground, but really looking to see what happens in the event today. Stream the best of Intel's innovation live from San Jose directly to you guys today as Intel's innovation event kicks off September 19th and 20. Topics such as AI, advanced technology, edge to cloud, and next generation systems and platforms will be included. Of course, you guys can catch this on Intel's website. So definitely check it out today. You guys ready to see maybe if Intel can kick off?
Are you still long Intel?
I already took my profits. You know how we do it, Dennis? We take profits too early and we let stocks rip to the moon.
That's what we do. Me and Mitch like to take the first bite. It's usually the best bite, it seems like, anyways. Taste the best. And then we let somebody else eat all the meat. So that's how we do it. So yeah, I know. I haven't been able to break
We're
that
nibblers.
Either, so
Nibblers.
it works out though. We're nibblers. Yeah, we're nibblers. It's getting a pop back up. Obviously, this event, sometimes these are selling opportunities more than buying opportunities. We saw what happened with the Apple event. There has been a slight run up into the event. That actually continues here today. So if you're along Intel overnight, congratulations, up 1.13% here, which is a full percent ahead of what most of the other stocks are doing, and that is because of the event. So again, money to be made buying these things ahead of the events. After the events is usually not as much money to be made.
The only technical note that I'm going to add here is you have a pair of highs right where we are right now, 38.52, 38.39. So boom, you bust through there. That's only a pair of highs. It looks like you have, you got other offers in there. But first things first, got to get through that 38.50 area. That's held up 2 days in a row.
11:30 a.m. Eastern time is the scheduled starting time for that Intel event. So keep your eyes out to see what happens from Intel today. But let's move to Instacart IPO as they're priced, it looks like, at $30 a share on Monday evening, valuing the grocery delivery company at roughly $10 billion. The company is set to debut Tuesday on NASDAQ under the CART ticker symbol.
Good ticker.
Good ticker.
We never did do that ticker show.
Yeah, we got to do a ticker show.
We got to do that. The best tickers, just the best tickers.
The best tickers on Wall Street. Here. I like that. Yeah. I like that, Dennis. We got to do a show.
Best tickers on Wall Street. You know, like what are some of the good ones here again? You know, like obviously this CART one's pretty good. And they're pretty creative. The newer IPOs seem to always be pretty creative.
Well, CART is not really. I mean,
it's pretty good.
But someone did stay up.
They didn't. Well, they got it though, so
they
it's
didn't stay up all night.
What other ones? Bros is good. Bros a good one. We love the Bros. The Bros.
Do you even bro? Like, come on,
here,
man.
chat. Give us your best tickers out there. Give us the best ones, the ones you like the best, the most creative ticker symbols out there. We're gonna do a full 30-minute segment coming up.
Chris was a good one. D-nut.
Donut. We love Dunkin' Donuts. Time to make the
Twinkies.
Donuts.
The Twinkies.
Oh, that's Krispy Kreme. Shoot, donuts, Krispy Kreme.
The Twinkies, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, Play is a good one. I like Play, Dave and Buster's. That's always a fun one.
Fun.
Yeah, Fun's a good one. Cedar Point, yeah, Cedar Point, pretty fun. That's a good one too. There, Joel. We'll give you that one. Wolf. Petco. Yeah.
I mean, unless you don't like roller coasters, then Fun it could be Puke. P-U-K-E.
I don't know what that one. Pizza's a good one. Papa John's, yes. P Zebra A. That's a good one too. So it's gonna be a fun show. Car is a great one. Avis Budget's got that car one. That's a good one too. Yeah. Hog. Oh, they're coming, man. They're coming out here now. They're waking up. This chat is right with it here now.
Hey, you know they'll wake up. You know our chat isn't sleeping. I did want to say one thing though. And this is all about timing a lot of the times for IPO, right? And so I wanted to just show this here, guys. Did they just pick the wrong year to IPO? I mean, look at the spike in Google trend interest in 2020.
Oh, you needed to IPO in 2020.
Come on, Instacart. Like, look at that spike compared to how it is now. I mean, not.
Oh, I don't think it's true.
It's
that
not
was when
the
the
same,
SPACs
right?
were the thing. Remember the SPACs? You had the SPACs
my
attack
God.
show, and it was awesome. And we had these SPACs going and these SPACs going and everything. Those were the days, man. 2020 was just like buy a stock and make money. Portnoy, remember he's got the dartboard. This is how you pick your stocks. You throw all the letters up at the dartboard and you throw 3 darts and you put the letters together and you buy a stock and you make money. That's how it's done. You knew we were in a bubble when.
It goes down, you buy it, and you make money.
That's it.
I think he started out. I think he tried to short some things, and then I think he was like, "Oh man!"
You realize you just buy stocks. This is the easiest thing ever.
Yeah. He gave that little hammer to Cassie.
And when it goes, I remember that couple that was on Twitter too, and their video on how to trade the stock market. Yeah, you just buy the stocks, and then it goes up, and then you sell the stocks. And I pay all my bills, and I quit my job just doing this. Yes, those are days, man. That was pretty good. I did good in 2022. Typically, I don't do good in those markets when it's all separated from like logic, but I was the same
It
thing.
was
I was like, man, you
volatile,
just buy
Dennis.
stocks.
It was volatile. It was
It
volatile.
wasn't even volatile. It was just straight up for the most part. It was
Well,
volatile too.
I mean, it was straight down.
There was some
there.
opportunities from relationship basis. There was.
It was
Yeah,
straight
2020
down.
was good. 2021 was pretty good too, though.
It was
This
straight
year's
up and then
slow.
straight
This
down.
year's terrible.
I know.
Slow.
This
AI
way
was supposed
could
to
be.
save us, though, man.
Slow, man.
AI. Isn't it supposed to save us? Well, it
Yeah,
ain't
well,
the same, right?
it's tried, and it's still out there. Nvidia bounced yesterday, but bring us to the next topic here, Mitch. Where are you
I
going?
just want to
Let's do
say,
it.
Jay made a comment that the second round, and I have no confirmation of this. The second round of private equity in this is down 100%. I don't follow private equity
On cart?
trends. Yeah,
Cart?
he
I have
he
no
put.
idea.
I don't know. I mean, if that's the truth, I mean, how
Let's
do you
do
lose it?
a quick question here, quick poll. What would you guys rather have, ARM or Instacart? Right, ARM's already out, but I mean, just what would you rather have now that
Well,
you've
the
even
ARM
seen
valuation
ARM a
is
little
just too
bit?
much. I didn't do any of the metrics on cart. I never even looked at what the valuation is. Like, what is it like going at? Do they make money? Do they make money?
Roughly
Probably not.
$10 billion is what I have the valuation at, but I got to see how that would be.
Last
for
I don't know
price
if they
and
make
earnings.
money. That's what I want to know is, do they actually make money? Does Pro have this in there? Yeah, Pro's pretty quick. Maybe Pro's got it in there. Go and
Do you
look.
use any kind of do you go to the are you at the store or are you doing the delivery thing?
On
Yeah,
Instacart?
do you get
No,
do-
just at all. I don't know. Do they have a
No,
Instacart
I go to the
thing?
store. I'm old school, Joel. The only thing that delivers here is Amazon. My wife just lives on Amazon, so she's the master of Amazon.
I
I
think
keep
they're
Amazon. That's why I bought her shares, because I'm like, you might as well just be paying yourself. So
Yeah,
because you
here's
might
a
as well own
Forbes
shares.
article that says Instacart revenue grew 39% year over year in 2022, while its net operating profit after tax improved from negative 15 million in 2021 to positive 123 million in 2022.
Positive, making some money. But
So
how
they're
much money
making
did they
some
make?
money.
How much did they make? Say it again.
123 million.
123 million divided by 10 billion. So 10, yeah, that PE doesn't sound that, or 10 billion divided by, yeah,
It doesn't sound that good.
Doesn't sound that cheap. 10 billion divided by 123 million.
Yeah, maybe
Sounds
if it
to me
was
like
cut
just
in
things.
half, like at 5 billion.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit expensive, but
You
net
want to
income
hear
596 million is what Red Bull's saying next month. I don't have the metrics in front of me, so we're all just throwing it out there, trying to Google and figure it out. We'll have to come back to you on that.
New
But
stock,
it
right?
doesn't sound cheap.
just some pros and cons here of the shopping, having people do your shopping. I'll give you a Lisa Pro. If she doesn't send me to the store and I don't go to the store, then I don't get all these she doesn't end up with all these unwanted items, right? Because I see, I haven't had that in a while. I grab that.
Oh,
The
you're an
con is
impulse shopper. You're
yeah,
an
well,
impulse
I
shopper.
haven't had that in a while. And then the con is because we use Meyer, we use everything. We use Myers, we use Kroger's. So she's been using Myers for a long time, and so she she ordered some bananas, right? And every time they've given her like a bunch of bananas. So this time she put banana, and they gave her one banana.
Just one banana. You get one
Yeah.
banana when you say banana.
Well,
Make sure you put plurals.
Let's see if you guys get your
Plural.
bananas today. Let's get it here, guys. Let's keep going. Ratings,
bananas,
upgrades, and
B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
downgrades. Truist Securities upgrading Royal Caribbean to buy and raising price target to $137. And just to kind of bring another information in here, Reuters were reporting earlier that China's transport ministry said that it's fully resuming from Tuesday's international cruise ship transport to and from ports in the country. So that could help kind of increase some revenue out there for these cruise lines.
It's my big loser of the day. I'm short Royal Caribbean and not happy to see that it got upgraded here today. So I will be taking a loss here somewhere at the open, hoping it can come in a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting a pop. Are we above yesterday's high? We are. If I was long this, not short it, but 99.44 is your 2-day high. That's still $2 away. That's a juicy target. More interesting on a technical basis is Carnival Cruise Lines. Look at all that support at 15. Rallied into earnings, sold off into earnings. Looks like the big boys are stepping up at 15.
Why don't these charts look like the airlines is my question. I'm bearish the cruise lines because I've seen the airlines just basically give back the entire June rally, yet the cruise lines are holding on to a lot of it.
I have an idea of what it could be. I think that what it is here is a lot of times is I think cruise lines are booked further in advance than you're seeing airlines being booked in advance.
Yeah.
So people kind of have a tendency of waiting to see if airline tickets come down in pricing, but cruise tickets very rarely go down in pricing as you get closer to the date. Maybe like the last couple of weeks, they send them out to these like travel agents to try to get the remaining kind of booked. But I think that that's what's playing in here. And what did we hear about from these companies? That they had pretty good bookings all the way throughout 23.
I think I agree with that. The one consideration here is as much as fuel prices is punishing the airlines, fuel prices has to be punishing the cruise lines too in a similar fashion. I mean, maybe they don't use quite as much fuel. I don't know, like relative speaking, but those pushing that, 1,100 foot, cruise line through the ocean, I got to think they use some fuel, man. So I got to think that eventually fuel prices are going to show up here too as an issue. If anybody knows, maybe percentage wise, how much fuel, airlines probably use more, but I got to think fuel prices is an issue here too. I also think the consumer is going to be strapped coming up here. So to your point, they've booked these cruises maybe in advance they're going to go, but I think forward demand is going to come off here as well. I don't like the cruise lines at all, but to that point is I am short RCL and I will be covering it here sometime today because it's upgraded. And it was a short-term day trade, so I have to cover.
What do you think about the technicals on these charts? I know like RCL, of course.
I mean, I think I agree. I agree. I mean, it's been hanging up here. Dennis posed a great question here. Why these things aren't pulling back? And I think he gave a great answer. Good support. And 95. I mean, is this the time to upgrade the stock? I don't know.
I think they're on the wrong side.
60 to 110. I mean, where's your risk reward? I mean, if I was going after upgrade, I'd be like, okay, if this thing breaks 95, I'm out. I mean, that's the way I look at it. Technically, I wouldn't. I'm not following them on this one.
Again, I will be just full disclosure. I will be covering the stake that's in the day trading portfolio, and I normally go cash at 10 a.m. So this was an overnight trade that's gone bad.
And also just to mention, right, the chat's bringing up a good conversation is that some of these ships are using natural gas to power the ship versus using oil. That might be a good adjustment. You would have brought that up like 2 years ago. Someone would have been like, what? But now it seems like a good move to be switching over to natural gas. So we'll see what happens with the cruise industry. Let's keep moving. We got more upgrades and downgrades. Evercore ISI group downgrading Deere and putting it to in line, lowering the price target to 424. Just recently, I was looking for Deere to pull back to 400. Gave me up plenty of opportunities last week to grab it at 400. Can it get back to 420? That's what I'm looking at.
I tweeted this last night when it was started trading down. You could see it. And then somebody's asked me, why is trading down? I was like, well, I don't see it out there, but I'm like, I can just tell by the trading. You trade a lot when you look at the tape. And I'm like, this is trading like it's downgraded. I can just feel that it looks like it's downgraded. So, and that's exactly what it was. We see it this morning when Evercore came out. So I'm sure somebody had the rating last night. Like, I mean, these release at different times. So anybody who is an Evercore customer probably knew that. So, but it wasn't widely spread until this morning when it came out. Again, Deere. Yeah, it not really though when you think about percentages here though, Joel. So a downgrade out of the blue on Deere is probably worth a couple of %. So I mean, you see a $7 move, you're like, whoa, it's a big move, but it's a $400 stock. I mean, RCL is up 1.7% going the other way because of an upgrade. So I mean, they're worth 1.5 to 2% typically the ratings. So I'm not surprised. Like that's why last night it was down 409, 408. And I'm like, this is getting offered too much. This looks like it's downgraded, and indeed it was.
Mitch gave you a good number, just under 400. You had a pair of lows, 99.30, 99.68. That's another $3. So if you're short, you get a gift here with the downgrade, and there's potential support just under 400. Coming back on the upside, when you get these kind of moves, you start out so far in the red. First thing you want to see is the top of the previous day or the bottom of the previous day's range at 751. And if they're really going to shrug this off, which I don't think they will, the closing price from yesterday was 410.84.
Just to kind of mention it, I've been really keeping an eye on the cat the hat. Of course, you guys can take a look at it here at these levels. It's kind of just sideways here. What do you see there on that chart, Joel?
Yeah,
I think that one's at least holding in there a lot better.
A lot better. I mean, yeah. I mean, it is. It's three high. Wow. So what's going on at 283, Dennis? I don't know if you have your book open, but there's someone wiggling out of stock here. Three out of the last four highs are just surrounding that 283 area. So that's major resistance. On the downside, the only identifiable good level of support is your 2 and 3 day lows is 77.50, but not moving much off the Deere downgrade.
No, and again, you typically see sympathy moves with downgrades, so because that's obviously company specific, and I don't believe Cat was mentioned in the notes. So, but it's hanging up here. Valuation on both these stocks has been reasonable. It's just a matter of people concerned, obviously, that the economy might slow down, and then Caterpillar and Deere are very cyclical businesses.
Daiwa Capital upgrading Dell Technologies to outperform and raising price target to $80. This has already been on a massive
bandwagon jumpers.
And Dell get to 80.
Jumping on the bandwagon. I mean, we had the big move up here, consolidation station for a few days, and they're like, well, let's get this party and continue this party going. It could kickstart it. You got major resistance, overhead supply here from everybody who's bought this last 4 or 5 days, 72, 71, 70. Got to get up over there to really be interesting. I don't love the fact that Warren's dumping Hewlett-Packard too. Like, obviously dumped some shares. Not that Dell is Hewlett-Packard, but they're damn close to the same businesses here. So I don't know. I'm not chasing this upgrade here today.
Remember I said Micron yesterday at 72. I just thought that was a huge level. Never got there during the regular session. Only got to 70, 97. Kind of a waffling market. Well, going here with Dell, 71. I know it's $1.10 away. I know it's an upgrade. You got a decent market, but after you made that high of the move, which was a new all-time high, triple top at 71. Let's call it 71.15. So that's the only good identifiable resistance. I know you gave the high of the move is above that, but for me right now, $71, big number.
We're just not in this market, not only to chase upgrades, but don't chase downgrades either, because I think we're just in this choppy environment where we're not going straight up, we're not going straight down, we're going sideways. And if you're chasing upgrades, you're probably on the wrong side. Chasing downgrades, you might be on the wrong side. So chasing momentum, go to Tim's filter there from yesterday. I mean, 0 stocks in momentum filter. If anything's telling you to stay away from momentum strategies, 0 stocks in that thing. He said it was like that back in March too. But I mean, you've got to respect that. We're in a consolidation period right now, and we're in a contrarian market where it's contrarian strategies where your fading moves is making money a hell of a lot more than these breakouts. The breakouts are becoming fake outs. The breakdowns are fake downs. We're just kind of meandering a lot here. Some stocks going down, you can always find pockets of weakness and pockets of strength. But it's really sideways for the win. I know it's JC Peretz. Shout out to JC. He was saying the same thing a couple days ago. It's sideways. This market is trending sideways right now. That's what I see too. How do you trade sideways market? You fade everything.
You know what? I was going to ask Tim, and we went into the ticker time. I wonder how it could be used as a contrarian indicator, right? That there's nothing in there. So that means that no one's interested in the moment, always looking at things from the contrarian side. Because if you think about it, if there was none there during that banking crisis, well, for some stocks, that turned out to be a pretty good opportunity.
Yeah, the only thing I'd point to that, Joel, is the disaster of I saw ARKK yesterday. It didn't look great at all. If anything, it looked like it was coming right back down.
Did
So
you listen to her interview on CNBC? And no, we haven't picked on Kathy in a long time, so
Oh
maybe it's
boy.
overdue.
we got to.
She's just on there, and she's talking about Tesla, and her price target for Tesla is $2,000. She thinks it's going to have a $5 trillion market cap. I just think like she's trying, and the funny thing is she's saying all this stuff. Like she's saying it's Kathy Wood who in the year 2000 she bought a stock and went up 20%. You know, like it showed up. You know, it was crazy how much influence. She was the most influential person probably of 2020. Yeah. And now we're in 2023. She goes on CNBC and starts talking about Tesla going to $2,000 a share, and it was a 5-minute segment. She kept saying 5 trillion and autonomous taxi and all that. And you want to know how much the stock moved on all of that talk? Zero. There wasn't any buyers at all.
They don't believe her.
She's completely lost all of her relevance. She has no influence whatsoever. I've never seen a fall from grace as quickly as Kathy Wood. Where 2020, she was maybe the most influential person on Wall Street, to zero influence last night. Zero. Because she couldn't have talked Tesla up more, and Tesla couldn't have cared less the stock.
Yeah,
so
you know what I would like to see?
That she has lost that much relevance.
Dennis, I would love to see the numbers of that newsletter. Remember how many people were subscribed to that newsletter?
Everybody. I was subscribed too.
Yeah, we used to have it. We used to go over that every day.
Every day.
If she bought something, it popped 20%. It was a new buy. It would pop 20% the stock. It was unbelievable. So you were like, what buys? I was trying to figure them out. I literally had a spreadsheet, and because it would drop the new holdings, and then I'd compare. You know, I had the spreadsheet and comparing it up there. I'm like, this is a new buy. You know, and everybody's trying to do it, like figure it out, because she doesn't announce, oh, I bought this. It just shows up on her new holdings. So we're trying to figure out what's the new buy and what's the new sell, because then you're trying to figure out faster than the next guy. So I mean, it was crazy, the Kathy trades. It was actually kind of fun, but now there's no Kathy trade anymore. She buys something, nobody cares.
Moving on to new downgrade here, and I wonder what you think about this one, because you mentioned maybe not chasing downgrades, but maybe consumer-facing downgrades here, not looking the best. JP Morgan stepping up here, downgrading Planet Fitness to neutral and lowering price target to $52. If anything, I think 52 is even high from here. I would have put that down to like maybe 30s.
Man. There's a fall from grace here too. I mean, wow. 60, 50, 40, free falling, like Tom Petty's song. This is the Tom
there you
Petty
go. Nice
chart
one.
here, man. This is the Tom Petty chart. May he rest in peace. But man, this Planet shareholders, they aren't resting in any peace here right now. They're just throwing up because, wow, this stock chart looks awful. New 52-week low. We got to go up further than that. We're back down.
Yeah, way down.
When the gyms were all, well, we're not at the COVID lows, but we're getting into that area where we're starting to trend down towards where we were in early 2020 when the gyms were all closed. Wow. Not a nice
man,
chart.
Nothing here, and it just it makes me sad bringing this stock up, because my last day of outside swimming was on Sunday, and now I got to go back to the gym and swim outside. Actually, it was only 55 degrees out when I swam on Sunday.
Ooh, cold.
Yeah, it was. It was a little chilly, but the water was warm. I don't know what to do with this one. I mean, if you're day trading it, and you came in long it, we'll see what happens. If it could get scratch on the session, that would be 48.50. Fill the gaps, only 50 cents away. I got nothing on the monthlies for you, really. The next monthly low is 45.87, and that was back in 2020. Don't think we're going to see that today. 45.87.
Just a quick conversation there. I wanted to add to it. Consumer-facing like companies, right? And take a look at Best Buy's chart. Take a look at Macy's chart.
Oh, Macy's is
those
almost
types of things.
Single digits.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like it's going to turn around anytime soon. This is the consumer, I think, showing up that it's finally slowing down.
Yeah,
I think we can finally say it that yes, the consumer's slowing down.
Yeah, the market thinks so. I mean, it's such a good point. Remember Kohl's, everybody pumping Kohl's. We set it up at 26.27. I'm like, I'm thinking this is going to be another selling opportunity because this Kohl's
could
not
be another
turning
Sears
the story around. Boom, 28. I think so. 28, 21. JWN, we know they've closed all the stores in Canada now, I believe. I mean, there's just, when your stores are closing, it's not a sign to buy. It's like, oh yeah, let's get rid of, or no, we don't like those Canadians anyways, maybe. But no, not the case. When you're closing stores, it equals problems. Nordstrom from 23 to 14. Isn't Buddy? Oh, was he ever confirmed to be in here? Buddy from Chewy, Ryan Cohen, was he ever confirmed to be in Nordstrom? Remember, there was rumors he had bought it. I don't think it ever got confirmed if he bought it or not.
That's
Remember,
an interesting conversation,
from like
Dennis.
20 to 30.
I don't remember, but
because Ryan Cohen
it was
had bought
the
the
easiest
stock.
short ever.
That's the stupidest bounce ever. It popped like 50% because it was a rumor that Ryan Cohen had bought the stock. That's got to be the dumbest spike maybe in the history of stocks. Up 40, 50% on that. Everybody that bought that deserves to lose all their money. Sorry.
Any outlook on these charts, Joel, before we move on? But I just think it's really interesting seeing the consumer really slow down now.
I think Dennis needs to take his hand off the sell button here, because we
leaked it all away, Joel.
Yeah, this is going to be oh man, a day ahead of the Fed. We just went.
What we need to do is just buy Berkshire Hathaway, and that's it. Because it just goes up every day. It's up another $1.50. Because who cares? It's Warren, man. It just goes up.
It's Warren, man. It's Warren.
Goes up. I've been doing it too. I've been buying Berk overnight because it goes up every day. I'm like, I don't know. I sell in the morning. I'm like, it's the stupidest thing ever. It used to trade with stocks, but it doesn't even trade with stocks anymore. It just goes up. I'm like, you don't even have to hedge it. It just goes up. Now, again, now that I said that, the trade will end. Remember, I'm being a little sarcastic here with stocks don't always just go up forever. But what the hell, man? How is it always up? S&Ps go down, Berkshire goes up. I've been tweeting it for like 2 weeks.
Apple goes down,
up, Berkshire goes up. It doesn't matter. It just goes up.
Apple goes down.
Apple goes down. I don't care. It's 48% of their stock holdings, which is like 25% of the overall Berkshire because half the stuff's private. It's like Coke goes down. Coke had a bad day the other day. Berkshire's up. Doesn't matter. Apple's down.
Doesn't matter,
Berkshire's
man.
up. Doesn't matter.
Ooh, look at that.
I have
Coke
no
chart.
idea why it is completely disconnected from the stock market now. You'd think like, oh, the stock market's having a bad day. Well, maybe some of your private, but people will say, oh, well, they have private companies. We don't think those insurance companies, these public insurance companies are going down. You don't think their private insurance companies should be worth less on that day? Logic would say they probably are, but that's no logic in Berkshire Hathaway anymore. The stock just goes up every single day. It's gone just to ridiculousness where it just goes up. I don't get it.
Disaster stock of the day. Rocket Labs, RKLB. Rocket Labs sliding after the launch failure leads to the loss of payload. And this
I don't even know what this company does.
They send up rockets. They send up rockets, literally. Like,
yeah. Oh boy.
And they've struggled massively throughout this whole journey. I've been seeing them struggle. Plenty of this was one of the rockets that bounced, kind of like it went up and then came to the left and then went up. Like, there's a lot of problems in Rocket Labs.
They're not Elon Musk.
Yeah, they're not Elon Musk.
SpaceX.
This is not SpaceX. I would agree with that. Right off the front, they've been struggling with these. And now to lose a payload on one of these rockets, that's going to definitely hit them hard. Of course, a SPAC. So
SPAC. That's what I was just going to say. SPAC. I mean, wow, the pop to $8. If you're trading this, either wanting to cover short or initiate a long, you did dip under $4 to 360, but based on the fact that you're already 40 cents above that level, I don't think you see it in a regular session, but who knows? That's potential support. And then where's all these lows, all these daily lows? They're in that area too. So there's your potential support. If you're going to play this for a gap fill, you got to get up to 502. 2.2 million shares have traded here. So people are taking note of this this thing going down.
Look at the chart of SPCE and then look at the chart of RKLB, because eventually it's going to look like SPCE. That's my opinion. I know nothing about this company. I didn't know what they did 2 minutes ago, but if you're trying to fight Elon Musk and SpaceX launching rockets, that sounds like a money-losing adventure, because nobody's going to do it better than Musk. I'm not going to try to compete with Musk. I'm not going to buy this stock because then I'm directly competing with Musk. And you think about how long, SpaceX suffered. You remember you did watch the documentary? He's on his last rocket, borrowing money from all the money he made from PayPal, trying to launch that. And it was like, like, this is like, they were going to be bankrupt at this, this doesn't, launch here. And they did it, and now they're one of the best at it. I mean, SpaceX is an unbelievable company. Musk, again, showing, I don't want to buy Rocket Lab and compete with Musk. Sorry.
Mitch, what was that other stock you used to mention in this group? I thought it was was it MAXR or a satellite company?
Yeah,
Remember?
Maxar, but it went off the table. The comparable companies would be Planet. It went private.
I went private.
And then another company would be Black Sky, BXSY, I think.
Okay. All right.
They're not doing great. Space companies are not doing great. But I mean, one of the things that could have told us this right off the top, and I mean, I'll show you guys this. So a lot of people are like, questioning if Rocket Labs really had some struggles. Just look at this, guys. This was in like 2021, and they were already having their rockets blow up. And I think that, situations like this can tell you something, right? I mean, when one of their rockets does this and kind of has, like an explosion kind of reaction, things like this are not what you want to be seeing, right? Satellites lost, things like this. They've already lost payloads before. And so things like this is what I immediately look at when I'm looking into these space companies. And what you want to see is big contracts. So that's what I used to look at in Maxar, the government contracts. That's what I was watching. I'd watch when government contracts were due to repeat and look for more companies. That's why I started liking Black Sky and Planet Labs, because what did they say? They were going to move from only Maxar to trying to go to 3 competitors to trying to get the best technology. Things like this is how you
it's
get
just tough to compete with SpaceX here. I'm just going to go back to like, why do I want to? You've seen what's happened to General Motors and Ford. When you compete with Musk and honestly, like NASA's with SpaceX. I mean, you're trying to be the next SpaceX, but it's just tough to do.
All right, we'll keep moving forward. We get out of Rocket Labs. Let's get to here more UAW talk, as it looks like they were put out there that if there's no progress made by Friday, that more strikes would happen at factories. And then Ford is in jeopardy here, as Canadian workers are now threatening to join the strike. So what do you guys think about this UAW situation as now expands to even Canadian workers?
I think they're going to dig in here, and I think this could be a lot longer than what a lot of people are predicting. I don't think it's just imminently going to settle. I think the car companies know that they're at the peak of their cycle too, which they got to know that. I mean, we can tell it. They got to know, like, they're at peak sales, GM and Ford. The cycle, the economy, we can see the other stocks, starting to go down. Those big ticket GM Ford cars, it's so expensive already, are probably going to, the sales are going to drop a little bit here. So you're at peak sales. So they can keep saying they made all this money. Well, they did. But are they going to be making that much money going forward? And I mean, if you do raise these labor costs substantially, and maybe, they only got the 4% raise over the last 4 years or 6% they were talking about. But again, they make a lot of money. $66 an hour is more than the majority of the population makes. So there is a risk, that, this doesn't settle as quick as a lot of people think it is. And that obviously is not good for anyone. So I don't know. I hope they can settle it out, but I'm skeptical this is going to get settled easily.
Yeah, Stellantis has been holding up the best and has had the best chart here since mid 2022. So that if you're looking at these things, and we've talked repeatedly about GM having great earnings. I brought up the graphic yesterday. Never rewarded for that. Ford is always traded at a low valuation. People got ahead of this trade a long time ago. I know, Mitch, you've been talking about it for a while, but it looks like they're digging in, and we'll just have to see what the implications are for the trickle effect, for other industry or things related. We talked about Magna, the big suppliers. We talked about Borg Warner. So
and those stocks are not down that far here yet. Those stocks start getting hit. The longer this goes, the risk of those stocks getting hit, because as much as GM and Ford have a lot of this maybe priced in, I don't know if it's all priced in, and I don't think the fall in sales is priced in, which is why I'm not long those stocks. But I do think some of these auto parts suppliers, to your point here, Joel, could have some pain ahead here. I mean, Magna, that looks like, on the charts, it's not bad, but there's a little head and shoulders here happening here. But I just feel like, I feel like these could go back down to 50. I feel like Borg Warner could go back down and start making new lows again. The trend definitely not your friend on BWA. Is there room down to 33, 34? If this strike goes on for a while, there is. So, again, you got to listen to talks. There's going to be hope, and then he's going to rally on hope. And then there's going to be hope's going to get dashed. Maybe they get a deal done. Maybe get done sooner than later. But then you got the problem with the economy on top of it all. So not a fan.
The owner, the primary guy in Magna International, Frank Stronach, also owns Churchill Downs. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, Frank Stronach. Yeah, and personally, he shut my favorite track down in Detroit several years ago. So,
so you're not happy with him?
Wolverine Raceway, was that the great name of a track or what? Yep. Bought it because he thought gambling was going to come to the tracks, and gambling got passed to the casino bill, and they left the tracks out of it. And he said, "See ya." And now there's really only one track in the area. It's kind of sad, but I know even Windsor Raceway is closed. But,
yeah, it did. It did
a long time ago.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I just want to do a little correction here. And thanks in the chat, Spiel. Spiel kind of corrected me right off the top, and I did a little facts checking there for us.
Okay.
Astra Rocket was the one that bounced, but Rocket Lab has rockets that have failed. So that 21 video, that's when I showed you that one. That one failed. Astria also failed. So I would point to more of what Dennis said, right? Not SpaceX. But correction.
None of these companies are SpaceX. I think people are investing. I think there's people investing in these companies because SpaceX is not public, and it's difficult to obviously go and get money into SpaceX, and they want to be in the industry and they want to be there, and it's a public way to try to invest in rocket technology. And that's, I think there's a future for rocket technology, but I think Tesla is so far ahead. Elon Musk and SpaceX is so far ahead here that it's going to be hard to catch up. I mean, you think about how NASA was so far ahead. Now NASA works with SpaceX, and SpaceX launches it all. I mean, they're working with government contracts. Elon Musk just has, as much as Elon Musk, has killed it with Tesla, he's killed it with SpaceX too. Those two companies, he's just killing it, man. And he's going to kill any competition that's there.
Let's go to Square, as the CEO of Square is set to depart the company according to regulatory filings released on Monday. And this company has been struggling. I'm staying away from these as it just doesn't look like they're coming back.
Boy, oh boy. I mean, if you're waiting to buy this at $50, that's where it bottomed in two times at the end of 2023, hit there last month, traded underneath the pre-market. I mean, I don't know. Dorsey's taking over now. Is that what?
Yeah, he's still there, so he's going to step into that role temporarily.
Wow, I don't know.
The stock is an epic disaster. I mean, we are back down. We are not far on Square. Like you think about, where we were 2020, we got down to $32. We're not far from the COVID lows here, and that is unfathomable when you think about a stock that went from $32, almost $300, as 900%, gives it all back in 2 years, gives the whole thing back. I've tried to play Square a couple times, and actually I've done pretty well on it from a swing trading perspective. I had it in there a couple times. I bought it at 90, flipped it out, I think at like 110. Picked it up again when we know that trade when I had which is going to go to 75 first, the PayPal or the Square. I picked up in the 60s, and then we ended up going to $80. Ended up going on Square. Now you're back down here again. Is this, I don't think this is necessarily, I'll say one thing. I don't think this is necessarily bad news. So that Dorsey, because Dorsey is the one that started this, he's going to come in and maybe run the show for a little bit here. So I'm actually surprised that they're hammering it on this. It wouldn't surprise me, but the technicals are so bad on this. This $50 absolutely needs to hold. Critical support level. We'll say critical.
All right, Joel, let's go ahead. Let's get to our guest time here, bringing down the charts. Let's kick it off here. You guys ready? Let's go. Hit the like button. Right, Tim Seymour here, CNBC's Fast Money CIO of Seymour Asset Management, ready to get into what? Can we talk a little bit about cannabis? Yes,
I think we have to, Mitch.
we have to. We have to. How are we doing today, Tim?
I'm great. Sorry, it's always a challenge getting the kids off to school and getting to the office in time. Certainly for the prep show, but it's UN week in New York City, by the way, and you guys don't have to deal with this, but anybody who lives in New York City knows this is the week to leave town. I mean, and at the risk of offending a lot of really important people, I'm not really sure what the UN does anymore. I'm not sure what the UN what the purpose is, other than to soak up the five, brave New York City policemen that are on the streets doing their job, brings them all over to one side of town. And there's only feels like there's five right now in New York City, by the way.
Well, I can tell just from your reaction, they definitely bring the traffic. That's for sure. So let's get to the action.
You're right. Let's get going. So Benzinga, first of all, let's be clear, and it needs to be clear to the audience out there. Next week out in Chicago, Benzinga is having their cannabis event. I'm going to be speaking. I'm going to be moderating a panel. I'm going to be seeing anyone that's important in the industry. And while this may sound like a sales, no one told me or paid me to say this. I mean, it's truly the best event in cannabis. It's an event that I think strikes the balance between there are real investors there. Let's be clear, cannabis needs more institutional investors. But the folks that are investing are there. The companies that are there, bringing their CEOs in the C-suite, and stuff gets done. But what mostly gets done is I think there's a conversation there that's always pretty accessible, and I think the format works. So I'm excited. And let's be clear, this is the first cannabis event post-COVID that really, there have been other events, but the world that's reopened, including the UN in New York City, this is the first real event. Obviously, there's been a lot of news in cannabis over the last 3 weeks, so we can talk about that quickly. But there is, of course, fresh excitement going into this event that the legislative path and that the administrative path for cannabis at least looks like there are some catalysts here. Hold on one second. I think it might be the UN Secretary General telling me.
See what happened? Trouble. See what happened? You talked too loud, Tim.
You can't be saying this stuff on the show.
Yeah, you know how it comes. So let's talk about it. So what are the thoughts, of course, on the recent FDA recommendation to reschedule cannabis here, and why is this significant for the industry, Tim?
Clearly, the tax dynamics for the industry, Section 280E, which is a U.S. IRS, a Treasury guideline for anyone that's a Schedule I drug out there, and that includes LSD, heroin, fentanyl, anything that's the obvious stuff and where cannabis doesn't belong, is taxed at a prohibitive rate, a punitive rate, a rate that basically makes, by definition, the businesses unpopular. If the recommendation of the FDA to the DEA through the HHS, Health and Human Services, is something that's followed through on, then a Schedule III drug has a lot of implications, but certainly from a balance sheet and a free cash flow perspective, it changes the industry overnight. Now, the skeptics will say, I don't know what the timeline is for that. DEA has a 90-day requirement to come back on this recommendation. And then it's still very possible this could have to go into a legislative branch to get the kind of votes that it needs, especially considering how significant it is. Right now, this does feel like it all sits within the Biden administration's bailiwick if they want. And because at least this is consistent with a schedule that the Biden administration put out there last summer, last fall, when they got out there and they talked about decriminalization, they talked about pardoning nonviolent offenses in cannabis. They said, we're going to send the FDA in to do some work and investigate and really come back and do a study on the science of it. That's what's happened. And look, for all the frustration around the FDA, even in CBD and in other industries as well, it's a process. It is the authoritative body on the pharma industry. So let's just say, so the pathway to pharma and so the credibility that would come, and that's already come from that, I think has a reverberation effect. We still don't know who's going to regulate cannabis. We still don't know what the timeline is going to be. It's very possible, as it needs to probably eventually be. You have 4 or 5 regulatory agencies that are in the middle of this trade, and it's going to be really complicated. But this is great news. In parallel, of course, the conversation about safe banking pops up. In parallel, of course, you have the conversation about where there are other things that are potentially going to then get institutional investors. On some level, that's all we really talk about today. I mean, you guys talk every morning about both fundamentals, technicals, but really markets are the most important dynamic. We all listen to the market, and the market is really the most important dynamic here. The market in cannabis has moved anywhere from 50 to 120%, depending on the stock you're looking at, a couple of them more. But what's also interesting, and as it always is with technicals, the market's basically rallied all the way back to where they were at the beginning of this news flow last summer that included the Biden administration and decriminalization and rescheduling. So in other words, we're kind of right back to where we were. We got up, somewhere near within some level of also where we were in the first week of December when the DEA news came out about that they were ready to sign off on SAFE, and that was a mirage. So price action, very interesting. I'd say net, no new money, a lot of short covering. The pipes haven't been cleared. The plumbing in cannabis is still a major problem. Institutions still can't own it. The reason for being and the ethos and the big picture, the addressable market in cannabis is much healthier today than it was even a year ago. And that's without this news. One more thing I'll just say about the news around rescheduling is that I think, if you were to do this, if you were to make cannabis companies more profitable, you would make it a lot more difficult. And I think the number one opponent of cannabis right now, and it's the illicit market. The illicit market, that's because there's no question about the growth and the demand of the product, whether it's for you or not. It is for many people. And the illicit market is probably the biggest challenge. It certainly is in New York.
We've also seen that. Tim, I'm sure we've seen that also with California, right? That's been, recreational for so long now. And I think that you clearly see the examples of the illicit market and how that plays in. Now, one of my biggest things in focus has always been, when will these OTC stocks move to the market, right? What do you think needs to happen for cannabis companies to list on major U.S. exchanges? And could we see this in the near future, Tim?
I think we can. One of the news points that people are well aware of is when TerraSend, which is again an operator in the U.S., went to list on the Toronto, and the Toronto basically said, we've done our work on this and we're good. We're talking about one of TSX is one of the top 3 exchanges in the world, or at least it's in the top 5. And it's not about ranking them; it's to say that this is in terms of the compliance hurdle and the credibility and the transparency required, and it's as high of a bar as anywhere. TSX says it's okay. TerraSend, you can be sure when exchanges in the U.S. are ready to do this. The folks that are listed on the TSX are going to be the first ones that then I think are going to be listed on the New York. I think exchanges are a lot closer. I think there's a lot of gray area here. On some level, exchanges don't need to get out there and commit to the cannabis industry, although we've already seen a lot of inconsistency with NASDAQ listings and NYSE listings, not singling either exchange out. But frankly, it's difficult to draw linearity straight through the issues and say we're good or we're bad. And we've seen listings of companies that do touch the plan. So I think this is very important, as you're right, and this is going to be significant. The fact that we've moved in reverse on the custodial dynamics and prime brokerage and the ability to custodize these stocks is shocking and staggering. But I think it comes down to the dollars. Ultimately, is it risk reward? And for a lot of these guys, for the 9 accounts that I have that I'm custodizing cannabis stocks, they're rabid about this and they're really big. And the largest one has $50 million with me. I mean, it's not $2, $3, $5, $10 billion of custody. So I think the numbers will change. It's a bit ironic that as one of the last brokers kind of pulled out of research coverage of the industry, the news comes out and it rallies 120%. And that's kind of how this goes. We know this from markets, guys.
Tim, let's take it out of cannabis here, and we want to get your market thoughts here too, because it's such an interesting stock market that we're in. You've got some sectors that are starting to get hit, like airlines have come down substantially. Retail isn't doing great. Tech is holding up okay. We had a pretty significant rally. Some of the tech stocks, the AI story maybe still holding us up, although we lost NVIDIA the other day. What are your thoughts here on, the last quarter? Obviously, we're going to start approaching that. We're kind of in a little bit of a lull. We'll get the Fed speak this week. What are your thoughts here, just overall market?
Yeah, so big week for at least policy. You've got Fed, you've got BOE, and BOJ, and nothing they're going to tell you is going to change the world. What we are seeing is, this morning again, you've got that 10-year challenging 440, which is the top end of this range. Everybody knows these are 15-year highs, 16-year highs. We know the correlation that equity markets have had for the last 3 weeks to the long end. And I think, for anyone that said the market's not paying attention to interest rates, the market's paying attention to interest rates. And I think if anything now, to call the death of mega cap tech is crazy. I will get out there and say that I think 26, 27, 28% S&P weighting of those top 4 or 5 or 7 or 8 stocks is we've seen their best days, but they are defensive in a higher rate environment. Different people have done this math, but the Journal had a really good article at the weekend where they highlighted Microsoft, and they said, look, Microsoft is actually in a higher rate environment where they've locked in long-term rates at 2% and they're collecting 5.5% on cash, is actually making money in this environment. They're buying back stocks. These companies become more accretive. Apple's a machine. And as much as you and I wonder where the next purchase of a $1,500 phone is going to come from, and it's not going to be China, I think there's limits to how bad it gets for mega cap tech in the next couple of quarters, unless the market really has some kind of a tail event. So interest rates are really important. You brought up the consumer. We continue to see the cracks emerge here and there. There's different anecdotal pieces that all lead up to the consumers under pressure. This is MasterCard had holiday spending previews out today, last night for where we're going to be, and they say up 3%. It doesn't really talk about the implications of inflation. When we listened to Macy's and Nordstrom's 3 or 4 weeks ago in earnings, they were really the first ones to talk about delinquencies popping up. We all know about student loans. We all know about auto loans. We all know about household debt servicing as a percentage of income. Hasn't been this high in 15, maybe even 20 years, that the savings from COVID is worn down. I actually agree with all of this stuff, and the divergences that the market have given us have been confounding. Is people who watch CNBC, at least watch Fast Money, know, like I take the market that I have though, and frankly, I am not a screaming bear. I am someone that believes there are challenges here. I actually think that we're going to have a sloppy couple of weeks. We have to figure out where interest rates go. Nobody knows the technical side of where the long end's going to go when the BOJ has to normalize and when the Fed has to refund so much debt out there. So I just say. Probably because everybody expected September to be nasty, it's probably going to not be that bad. I do think the last 2 months of the year are always the 2 best months of the year. And I do think interest rates still haven't worked themselves out. So I'm a little concerned about that. But the consumer is slowly going to show their hand. And the consumer, look, I'm so sick of paying $4.50 for this Starbucks.
Costco, you got to get the Costco coffee. Tim, I just got one quick question for you here. The economic impact of this strike. I mean, the autos haven't performed. The street's been ahead of this trade here. You're looking at the percentage of workers and you're saying, well, it's not huge, but just what about the overall? I mean, the recession, non-recession talk. I mean, what's the overall impact of the longer the strike goes of sending our country a little closer to a recession?
Well, we always talk about the unforeseen trigger, right? And nobody talked about the auto strike as the unforeseen trigger for the economy, right? Like, we always do this for markets. Oh, I didn't expect this was going to do live, but maybe it's with great irony that the Biden administration has basically a manufacturing agenda in the U.S. And it really kind of runs against. Maybe you're strengthening union, and obviously it makes sense for him politically to be supporting this, but really the strike doesn't serve America's manufacturing agenda very well. And to be clear, this is why a lot of manufacturers have left the United States. The cost of labor and the complications of it. So I think the strike is, I think it's a negotiation like anything. And I think depending on how pig-headed each side's going to be, I think there's a practical reality to the autos. And it comes at a time when they have a bigger strike fund than the workers do. I mean, GM, $2 billion of EBITDA, GM's never been more profitable. Now, and it's not in the stock price. I'm long GM. It's been one of the worst investments I've had over the last 3 or 4 years. But I do think that the auto companies have to hold her, and I think they're going to hold some ground. I think it makes every sense for them to compromise on the headline and to be, to acquiesce to their workers. There's a lot of politics there too. I don't think this strike is a game changer for the economy. Go ahead.
Yeah, where do you see this strike? Is this just the second inning here? If we had to put it to like baseball, or we could put it in even hockey. Are we in the first period here? Or are we in
Yeah,
the
I mean,
third?
we're not. This is not a shootout, but I think it's. We've already played 2.5 periods of hockey, and the game's heating up. So
Okay.
I think we're in the home stretch here. I think the union, with all the bravado, has more to lose here. That's, maybe it may not be popular. I know where you guys are coming to me from, and I'm certainly in support of what people have to do. Everyone needs to make a living. One of the great things that came out of COVID was Walmart going to 17, 18 bucks an hour for minimum wage. I mean, look, if you can't make money and live and support a family in the middle class in this country, we're all dead. And so that's really where this balance needs to come. And by the way, Walmart's now seemingly lowering minimum wage again back to the consumer. I mean, I think others will follow, and I don't think this is great.
Tim Seymour, always great to talk to you, covering all different aspects today, from cannabis to the UAW conversation. Always good to have you, Tim. We'll have you back on, and we'll see how this year hockey goes this year. We'll see. I know you and Dennis will be going at it.
Let's Mitch and Dennis and Joe. This is always amazing. Love this forum. Let's do a proper hockey preview.
I think so.
I got you.
I'm ready for that, Tim. I'm
gonna hit you up for that. I got you guys.
Rangers Oilers final. Let's do it.
Have a good one, Tim. Take care. All right, let's go ahead. Let's wrap it up here, Dennis. Any last comments for the market?
You
want to do the Disney? Let's do the Disney
breaking
news here.
news on Disney. Stock is trying to bounce here. So just a filing coming from Disney. They announced that they're increasing their investment in Disney parks, experiences, and products segment. They're allocating $60 billion over the next 10 years to expand and enhance their parks and cruise line capacity. So they're putting their money into what works for them. The parks is what has worked for them for a long time. They're putting more money into that. I think the initial hit on the stock is likely because some people, Iger talked about, a potential dividend reinstatement. And now you just announced that you are giving $60 billion over the next 10 years into increasing investment into the parks. And that probably means you're not thinking about reinstating this dividend at the end of the year here. So I think the initial hit likely is because people are disappointed they didn't reinstate the dividend. With that being said, at least they're investing what they know what works. I'm torn on this headline. Again, I think the initial hit is because they're putting $60 billion out, which $60 billion they don't have. They already have a lot of debt. So they definitely probably are not going to be giving you that dividend anytime soon. So I think that's why it's getting hit. I think that's why the algos are hitting it. The question is, does it bounce off this or not? Very important day for Disney. Does Wall Street applaud this move? Or are they too disappointed that they're probably not getting a dividend anytime soon?
Yeah, I think this is a negative to me because the biggest thing is I want to see them spend more on their streaming service. And they kept, Iger said that he was going to cut spending on there. Now they're going more to the parks. The parks is what we're seeing. We're seeing the consumer slow down right now. Yeah. Might not be the best investment to invest in something where you're seeing a slowdown.
Well, over the next 10 years, though, so they're not saying this year. So it's a slow plan over the next 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years.
There's going to be cycles. There's going to be multiple business cycles over the next 10 years, you would think.
Yeah.
I don't mind them investing into the parks. The biggest issue is I think everybody wanted a dividend. They wanted to hear something like dividend reinstatement. You just threw $60 billion you're investing back in the company. There's only so much money, man. That's telling me there isn't much money for a dividend, and that's why the stock's going down.
All right, last wrap up here from Dennis Dick. What do you got for me on the market today?
Chop. So we were up this morning. We're not holding rallies well. We have a lot of damage under the hood here, which we talked about. NVIDIA had a nice bounce yesterday. That helped. Can it hold the bounce? That's the question. You've got tech definitely leading the charge to the downside here today. Square down the most. We'll see what happens if they apply the Dorsey move. They're not doing it early, though. But then you've just got a number of stocks. Microsoft red, Google red, Amazon red. They've all went red. Tech has went red. Tech's not having a great morning here now. It was doing well when we started the show and just slowly leaked throughout the show. Yeah. And now the selling has accelerated here. I'm still of the opinion that tougher times are ahead. I'm keeping, getting my 5.5% in cash right now. I'm pretty happy to do that. I do have some stocks, and the stocks that I bought haven't done very well. I did buy some Unity recently. That's been a disaster. That was a little bit of company effects because they put this subscriber or this new fee on to all their customers, and the market's not liking that at all. So, that's why Unity has been coming down. But there's still just a number of stocks. It seems like when you're buying stocks right now, it's just not as simple as it was, even at the beginning of this year, where it seemed like when you're buying anything in May and April, a few weeks later, you were happy you bought it. It's kind of the opposite right now. I kind of feel like bears are still in control, but sideways for the win.
All right. Like always, you guys can keep up with everything Benzinga does. And you guys heard Tim just mention it just a second ago. Check out the Cannabis Capital Conference going down in Chicago just in a couple of days. So stay tuned, guys. Hit that link. Check it out. And like always, Dennis, we'll bring you back. It's always good to have you, my friend. Go do what you do best, man. Go get to your trading action.
We're trying.
Get after it, man. All right, now to get you guys over to live trading, that's coming up next. And you guys can find out how I do in ARM. I am down right now from 56.95. Let's find out what happens. How do you find out? Just come over to live trading. Could take a loss, could see tech bounce back. Of course, you guys can find out by just checking out the action on live trading. That's coming up next. Don't go anywhere.